Hey guys, King Kanji here once again. This time I'm doing another game review. This time I'm doing Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle, or Dokkan Battle, or Dokkan Battle. I'm just going to call it DB for the sake of the rest of this review, just because I don't know how to pronounce it and I don't want to get people going, "You pronounce it wrong, man." I'm British, like generally speaking, most people are going to think I pronounced something wrong. Anyway, Dragon Ball Z DB has reached 11 million downloads, so now feels about the right time for me to drop a review for this game. I would have done it a little bit sooner, but to be honest with you, I wanted to know if I was actually going to keep it on my phone, and if I was still going to feel the same way about it a couple months later. Generally speaking, I get annoyed with phone games quite quickly, so if I kept it on my phone and I kept going back to it, it was usually a good sign that it was actually a good game in the first place. It was actually worth reviewing. But interestingly, there's a couple of things I want to get into first. For anybody who hasn't actually heard of Dokkan Battle, or again Dokkan Battle, or again DB, within a week of its release in the UK, and in honesty, I thought it was going to be some third-party, non-official Dragon Ball game, like not done by Bandai or anything like that. And I figured that it was probably going to be a bit of crap, but I thought I'd try it anyway. I usually do with these other Dragon Ball games, you know, just in case there's like a hidden gem somewhere. But I'd seen some pretty heavy advertisement for it, and my girlfriend actually sent me the link to it in case I was interested, after she'd seen it on an ad on Facebook, and I decided to download it. I didn't realise until I actually started playing the game it was officially licensed by Bandai and DIMP, so I was sort of interested when that happened. So then, of course, I couldn't wait until I had to go for a shit so I could play it. Hey, come on, we'll do it. Did I actually get around to checking it out? 5 minutes into the game, I was actually pretty hooked. I didn't totally understand the premise of what was going on at first, but I mean, the thing's color-coded for the most part, and it's like some type-based game like Pokemon, where it's a bit like rock, paper, scissors mixed in with some common sense. Their gameplay didn't hook me at first, but the graphics did. The game immediately gave me my first set of characters to use, and I got some Cybermen, I got some Red Ribbon Soldiers, I got Chaozu, and I got Yamcha. So of course, I put my iPad down, shook my head, vowed never to use it again, and tried again on my phone. And this time I got the same, but I got Frieza instead of Yamcha. Sorted. That was pretty much, you know, what I would actually want realistically. I mean, I wasn't going to play through the game with Yamcha. At this point, I had no idea how the game works, so I had no idea how long I was going to have to use Yamcha for, and I just didn't want to use Yamcha. But anyway, for anybody who doesn't actually understand this game or don't know anything about it, let me just quickly tell you how it works. So basically, you have a team of characters like you'd have a team of Pokemon. The characters have different rarities. The higher the rarity, the stronger, the better the character. You level up the characters, which level up to a certain limit, again depending on the rarity. So, normal common characters can reach level 20, rare characters can reach up to level 40, super rare characters can reach up to level 60, super rare characters can reach up to 80, and ultra rare, ultimate rare, whatever they are, can reach 100. They're only actually written as, like, you know, N, R, SR, SSR, and UR, so to be honest, they might not mean any of that, but that's just kind of what I've guessed over this time. Each character also has its own type, so some are strength, some are physical, some are intelligent, some are technical, some are agility, and they're all represented by a certain colour, so just to try and keep it easy. In battle, each of the colours for each of the type are displayed on a grid, and basically put, the more of the coloured spheres you connect for the correct type, the more damage you do to your opponent. Now, I appreciate this might all sound a bit confusing, but trust me, when you're playing it, it really does end up making sense. When you click a sphere with your character, you'll attack them with a flurry of kicks or blasts, and if you connect with enough spheres, you'll do your super attack. And let me tell you guys, the game is really beautifully displayed. It's very easy to get lost in this game and spend a couple of days playing it. I mean, literally after I did it, I started playing it, and I just sort of took it upstairs, turned my Xbox One off, and I just sat there playing my phone for about 15 minutes, and then 15 minutes turned into an hour turned into 2 hours, 2 hours turned into half a day, and then I went, shit, I better go to work. When you win battles, you get Dragon Stones and money. You get battle characters and other items and other things of this ilk. The Dragon Stones can be used in a sort of slot machine-esque mini-game, which, much like the trophy generator in Smash Bros, you put 5 Dragon Stones in, you get one rare, super rare character, depending on how lucky you are. You get these things called friend points as well, which you can use to get like a pool of them, where you get like 10, but they're all like, you know, non-rare, and they're all, or if you're lucky you get one rare one, or so, you know, it's just one of them. This all really does come down to luck. There's an awful lot of luck in this game. But with that being said, like, that kind of gives you like a rough idea of how the game really works, how it progresses, and I can get on with the review. That was a long intro, I fucking know. But anyway, the good things. This game is completely free to download from the App Store. It's incredibly attractive, as I've already said, like, you know, it looks amazing. The game utilises many characters from the franchise, so Dragon Ball Z, GT, and even Super in the latest movies. So, you know, you even get people like Pintar and Killer and Jewel, like these people that only popped up in like one martial arts tournament and, you know, did terribly. I like that. I mean, like, anybody who's ever seen any of my other reviews, you know exactly what I'm like. I like Tambourine and Symbol and stuff, and they're all in it, so it's great. The game's constantly updated with new characters, new features, and new events, so they'll put like mini games up for you to do and more ways for you to get free Dragon Stones. It's addictive in a good way, and it doesn't penalise you for locking your phone midway through playing, so I don't know. Say there's like, you're playing it on the bus and you suddenly realise, oh shit, like I've missed my stop, I need to get off at the next one. If you lock your phone quickly, you'll pick up from exactly where you left off next time you open your phone, and it will just, even if you close the app, it will sort of go, you know, do you want to resume where you last were? So it's pretty good for that. The random character gamble keeps the game fresh and gives you things to aim for. The chance of encountering certain characters greatens depending on what campaign they're advertising, whether it's Resurrection F Week, Ascension Week, where Rip Trunks and SS2 Goku are advertised as SSR characters. Again, if this stuff doesn't make sense to you, don't worry about it. As soon as you pick the game up, it does. And considering the fact it's free, you can do a lot worse than to pick it up for free, trust me. Characters are not specified to one type, so let's say you encounter one version of Vegeta and it's strength. That isn't going to be the only Vegeta in the entire game. You might be able to get another version of Vegeta where he's in agility, or one where he's in tech. So, they're all like different versions of Vegeta, but, you know, if you don't like using the strength characters, or if you've already got a strength-based character, and that doesn't suit you, you can get another Vegeta with a different type, so it's not like the end of the world. There are login bonuses, so you get, like, you know, rewards for logging in every day. So if you log in like 10 days in a row, the more days you log in a row, the better items you get for logging in. I got to about 65 days in a row and was getting some awesome items. And then I left my phone in my missus' car one evening, because I usually start this app up in the morning, like, you know, when I wake up and she's still asleep or something. You know, try and suss out my bowel habits at your own risk. I didn't think of doing it after I fetched it out of a car. The meter reset to 1 day and I wanted to cry. However, you also get some bonuses for like the total days you've logged in, so now I'm up to like 95 total days, so I'm still getting some good items, but now I'm back to like 32 consecutive day logins, so I'm getting some alright stuff. It's awesome for killing time. Like, it's great to be able to have a quick bash in the game, put it down and bugger off. Again, if you go to the loo, it's fucking awesome. I've talked so much about shit in this video, it's fucking ridiculous. But the loading screens only last about like 1-2 seconds, so like, you know, if you get the train a lot or the bus a lot like I do, it's really convenient. Single player is long lasting. There's a lot of levels, varying difficulty, like, so it gets harder as you go on. You get a Dragon Stone every time you finish a level. You also get another Dragon Stone if you finish it on a different difficulty. So it works a little bit like the missions on Raging Blast, how you manage to get like a star on it if you completed certain objectives, and then, you know, if you got 3 stars, it will add it to. It's the same sort of thing. And you know, one of the biggest points about this is the fact that you don't actually have to buy the microtransactions that are in the game. Like, there's plenty of opportunities to get tons of Dragon Stones. The only time you ever really want to do that is if you're just feeling lazy and you really want to get a character you want, you're losing interest in the game. In that instance, you know, it's your own risk if you do it, because if you're already getting bored of it, is there much point? But I've done it a couple of times, but to be honest, that was more because I was enjoying the game and I wanted to put money into the company, because I was sort of like saying, like, you know, thank you. because a lot of these people spent time making this game, and it's actually really decent. It also looks like there's some updates, like a world tournament mode coming out, because if you download it now, it pops up like this little icon in the corner saying world tournament coming soon. What that's going to entail, I have no idea, but as soon as I know, you guys will know. But for the time being, that's all I've got on that. As many of you are aware, from some of my other reviews, links for self-promotion, I'm a bit harsh when it comes to reviewing bad points, but in complete and utter honesty, there's more good to weigh out the bad for this game. However, there are some gripes I've had with it so far. Although the animations are pretty and the sprites are really well rendered, the movement is a bit clunky, bearing in mind the sprites don't have any tween animations. So what I mean by that is, it will sort of jump from one sprite to another sprite without there being like linking movements. For those of you who still don't understand what I mean, just imagine the character sort of jumping from one position to another position without any animation in between. However, I will say once again though, that this is handled very well and it still looks really pretty even though. So considering there's no animation between the movements or the positions, it actually still looks really boss. All the fight sequences are the same, bar the super attacks. So Goku, Vegeta, Frieza, Android 18, even Bulma all have the same barrage of attacks and the same animations. Of course, except for their super attacks, which you see once every so often, depending on, like, you know, how many spheres you hit again. Although there are a couple nice music pieces in the game, they do get really damn repetitive after a while, and I promise you, you'll be humming them to yourself without realising it. It's a bit like, you know, that, oh, that Christ above, you know that tune that plays in the lobby of Xenoverse, that you just run around and start doing that to yourself, and literally it's so freaking irritating. The story to the main game, although it puts its own twist on the Dragon Ball Z story, it's a bit nothingy and you'll most likely find yourself skipping a text-based cutscene. When you start the game, it gets a little bit weird, because it asks you for a name, so for me, I obviously put JC. And the characters will talk to the other characters during these text-based cutscenes, and then kind of awkwardly address you and remind you that you're apparently an invisible character and you're part of all this. For instance, there was this one scene and Yamcha was like talking to Goku and Trunks, and they're all discussing how difficult the bad guy of the area was, and Yamcha just goes, well, we've got JC here, so we've got it covered, and Goku was like, yeah, I can't believe how strong JC is. Bearing in mind there's like no character creation, you have like no character to represent yourself. For all intents and purposes, I recommend you call myself My Dick or something for hilarity and the comedic values to make it more fun. After so long, the missions became a little bit repetitive, and you find yourself trying to skip as many fights as you can in order to, you know, finish the level. The layout to the grid is kind of like if you ever played Budokai 2, and you had that thing where you sort of got your counter and you had to hop along the board. It's that sort of thing, but it's done a little bit faster, so you just kind of keep moving. But so the fact that you're trying to skip these fights in order to finish the level as soon as possible, it kind of says a lot to me in terms of the gameplay. It gets monotonous after a while, I'm not going to lie. In most cases, the characters can be upgraded once what they refer to in this game as awakened. Some twice if there's a special event on, like you have this thing called Dokkan Awakening or Dokkan Awakening or Dickan Awakening, whatever you want to call it, I don't give a shit. But you can upgrade a rare to a super rare, but you can't go from a super rare to a super rare unless there's an event, if you get what I mean. So this is what I mean by upgrading once. So if you've got a rare character, you can only go as far as super rare. However, because there's an obvious power difference between the characters when they're maxed out, you know, if you've got like a Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Goku, or Super Saiyan Blue Goku, if you've got him and you got him as a super rare and then you upgrade him to super rare, it makes your super rares look really weak when you're fighting. So basically, if you've got them in the game, it almost becomes a bit of a pain to have to use them. So if you have a favourite character and it started out being rare and you upgrade it, it's the end of the line for them. There's not much else you can do with them. So it gets really annoying because, as I say, I like the lesser characters in Dragon Ball. So, I mean, that kind of bugs me, but, you know, the game's free, so I can't complain too much. But overall, I've talked long enough now, so I think really that's the skinny on Dokkan Battle in my eyes anyway. I really enjoy the game, and biased to Dragon Ball though I am, I literally find it to be one of the only app games I've actually kept on my phone for longer than 3 months and actually used the majority of that time. With that being said, like, you know, it's obviously got some replay value to it. It does get slightly monotonous, but again, it's a phone game, you know. This isn't Xenoverse, this isn't Not even Ultimate Tenkaichi, what an abortion of a fucking video game that was. Anyway guys, hope you enjoyed this review, so like, comment and subscribe to start training on World King Kanji's planet, and I'll catch you guys later.